guys, I'm Spaceshark, and today we're going to be doing my very first video game review, and we're starting with Anthem. So I actually surprisingly like this game a lot, and I really am hoping to see so much more content for this game, because that's what I feel like this game really needs. There's a lot of things I didn't like about the game, but there's a lot of things I did like about the game. Alrighty, so let's start with kind of Fort Tarsus, which is the hub, and the story. Fort Tarsus is basically a whole nother game, I feel like, where you basically go and get all of your missions and contracts. And you play in first person, and you walk around very slow, and you talk to people who may or may not be interesting. There's a lot of optional characters and places you can go and look and get collectibles and talk to people and hear their stories and interact with. Some people may find that interesting, some may not. I found it, 50-50, so it's enjoyable. It's good for downtime in between your missions. And more of it will be unlocked as you play through the story, so that's kind of cool. But definitely in the future, I would like to see some more additions to the hub, maybe add some more uses for it, because there's accesses to the stores, 2 different stores, but you can just also press escape, go to your menu, and access the stores from anywhere, so they're almost useless. And Fort Tarsus, from what I understand, is basically this big city-like fort that's heavily guarded, and it keeps at least this society/city of people safe, and that's where you come back and reside to, and do all that talking and stuff. Oh, look at this guy's cape. What's up, bro? What's happening? He's got magical powers. Okay, so time for the gameplay, which is the strongest point in this game. The gameplay is phenomenal. The jetpacks is so fun. Once you learn how to use the jetpack, which is kind of hard, at least on the mouse and keyboard, once you learn how to use it, you can use it to maneuver around the battlefield amazingly. You can hover and then just unleash amazing abilities which send groups of enemies flying with all sorts of beautiful particles and all that stuff, so that's amazing. And I feel like that's one of the best parts of the game and why people are going to really want to get good loot and continue playing the game. Also, since this game is a looter shooter, you have to take in mind how is the loot. The loot is about 50-50 as well to the story. If it's 50-50 for the story, 50-50 for the loot, it's give or take. You may like it or you may not like it. For instance, a lot of the guns are just the same gun but slightly different color or have a different part on it, and that's quite noticeable. And then the legendaries are just the same gun pretty much with a nice fancy gun skin on it, which you may like or you may not like. I only have one masterwork weapon right now, and it actually looks really cool. So what I'm really hoping with this game is that they listen to the people that actually play it, because it's not for everybody. And they actually add a lot of free content, because that's what this game needs to stay alive, because it has a lot of potential with its gameplay. The core gameplay is what makes it, passable. Because if not, if we're going to review just the story, I would say probably like a 6 out of 10. But the gameplay itself is around an 8. I am still playing it, and I really like the gameplay, and that's why I'm playing it. It's so I can upgrade my suit, and just continue to blow shit up. I can literally not emphasize enough how satisfying it is to see a fresh group of like dozen, maybe 2 dozen enemies spawn, and then you just call down a fat beam of lightning and just blow them all to smithereens, all the while hovering and then taking out other enemies with your gun, and then maybe throwing a couple small fireballs or charging it up in your fist and throwing it down and just taking out a big group. It's a lot of fun, and I think that's where the game shines. So yeah, basically the pros of the game is amazing gameplay, of course the javelins, the jetpacks or flying, what have you, getting good loot and guns. A lot of the loot isn't even guns or something that you can actually see. A lot of them is just different abilities that are powerful, and then as you level up you unlock different, I think it's called component slots, which just basically give you buffs for your character. Which leads me to another thing what I like. So there's a bunch of different missions. There's like contracts, and then there's like missions you can get from characters, and then there's like strongholds. Strongholds are basically like the dungeons or raids or whatever. And then the contracts and missions are just, you know, missions and stuff. They have legendary contracts, which basically give you better loot. But they also have free play, which is the best place to go and get harvest your materials and stuff. But what I found free play super useful for was actually when you unlock a new javelin, you can of course swap your guns to the new javelin, but you're not going to have that many components and powerful abilities for that javelin. Of course you could craft them, but those aren't going to be the best. At least when I got my new javelins, I didn't have the best crafting blueprints, but what the free play is good for is if, like, let's say you've been playing the ranger, you unlock the storm, before you go out and group up with your friends and you go and do a stronghold or a legendary contract, you go to free play and then you just go do some world events and you can get a bunch of loot by doing that, go back to the forge, equip all your good loot, and then go and take out that stronghold you were trying to do with your friends. And of course they have this roadmap. I didn't pay too much attention to it, but I do know that there's a lot of different things coming out. One of which that they had, I believe they had announced before the game even launched. It's like a quote-unquote endgame trailer or whatever, but it mentions cataclysms, which are world-changing events, which I believe is going to take place in free play. So like almost like legendary public events that happen during free play, and of course, in my opinion, free play is where they should add a lot of content, because they say on the back of the box an open world, but it's not too open. My main things that I hope that they add for this game is, one, new javelins, but of course I don't want them to just add a ton. I want them to be meaningful and really cool. Number two, I want them to add much more to the world, because if they added new biomes, because right now all they have is like some Jurassic Park-esque looking green forested areas. There's not too much variety, which is the sad part, and I feel like that's one of the game's biggest problems is its free roam. The variety, there's not there. So if they add variety to it, add some new biomes like a snow biome. I just love snow biomes, especially for games that have you having characters that have really cool, colorful powers. It just looks really nice. So this game really hit me just kind of like where Destiny did. I really liked the whole game, but it felt like it was lacking content. And if that's how the game is, I wouldn't say necessarily the game is bad. It's just because if you want more content from it, then the game is actually good. If you're enjoying the game, but you just want more of it, then you're actually enjoying the game. And that's just a matter of fact, you know. I actually really enjoyed this game the entire time, even though I did not think I was, but I just want more content. I want a bigger world to explore, because they have such an amazing movement system with the jetpacks, like I keep saying, and just being able to go fly from spot point A to point B and discover new locations and things like that. I think that's what this game really needs to make it amazing. The fort is fine. I don't really think they should add too much. I mean, of course, that would be nice to have some new areas in the fort and things like that, but I really, really want a bigger, massive, open world with multiple biomes, maybe even characters that can give you missions out in free roam and stuff like that besides public events. I think that's what this game really needs, is just more systems and things like that, because what I feel they have here is an excellent skeleton for the game. And I know this game has been getting a lot of bad reviews, but I feel like this game is actually pretty decent despite the lackluster story, the characters that may or may not be interesting. Sometimes they're even annoying. I was really annoyed with Owen, and then he kind of grew on me. But yeah, so like I'm really excited to see where this game is at the end of 2019. And I'm going to continue playing it. Every single DLC that comes out, I'll be covering what goes on in Cataclysms and things like that. So yeah. So BioWare hasn't released another game in a very long time, so my hope is that they continue to fix what's wrong with this game and add new content for free, simply because there are people out there that paid $60 for this game, and I feel like that's fine. I would purchase this game with $60 if they had the promise that at least a double in content, because if you look at Destinies and all that, and pretty much every other game that has a season pass, they usually double their content by the end of the year with smaller DLC packs and then like a larger DLC pack, and that's what I hope this game does, but for free. Since they did charge you $60 for what? An open world that was rather small. You could probably fly from point A to point B in less than 10 minutes. But yeah, I would have to give this game an 8 out of 10 with the promise of new content. Thank you for watching my first review on Anthem. This was kind of hard due to the fact that the entire time reviewing this, I considered that this game is going to evolve and become better throughout the year. So yeah, that is with high hopes for this game. If we're just gonna deal and give it a score with no content, it's gonna be like everybody's been saying, a 6 out of 10. This game definitely feels like, here's the game, we're going to grow upon it immensely post-launch, but for now, here you go, get to max level, get good stuff, and get used to the game, because next month in March we have a whole bunch of new content, which is confirmed coming out, and I'm excited and I'll be covering it. Stay tuned for that. Have a good one.